he didn't translate the book, right? Only Srila Prabhupada did it finally.
Yeah, so he must have helped. Actually, what happened is that boy, I mean, I shouldn't say boy, that devotee, he asked Srila Prabhupada, can you please translate, can you make it available in English? He knew the book. So he asked Prabhupada, okay. He asked him, can you please do it? Prabhupada was busy, but he accepted it. And he took, just for the sake of that request, he took 2 3 weeks off. I find it a very nice story. Hardly no one knows this story. Indra Maharaj told me, and he got the story from Dhananjay, who must have heard it from, very early devotees in America. So, yeah, this is a book of Rupa Goswami, who is Rasacharya, born in 1489, left in 1564. So, without any doubt, Srila Rupa Goswami is considered the foremost Acharya. By all means, not only in ISKCON, but within all Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya combined. His contribution is unparalleled, is extremely, his contribution is totally, and the point of Rupa Goswami is that Krishna consciousness is not a new religion. It's authorized within the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And why it is so bona fide? Because we are functioning under the authority of Srila Rupa Goswami. Who's going to deny Srila Rupa Goswami in India, especially as a Gaudiya Vaishnava? So because Prabhupada was so expert to place this movement under the banner of the most important direct disciple of Mahaprabhu, Sangupanga Parashadam, then that gave a lot of weight to ISKCON. You understand? Because Prabhupada understood we have to function, if we want to rally other devotees, if we want to be acknowledged as a bona fide movement, we have to function under Srila Rupa Goswami. So that was a strategy of Srila Prabhupada. So can you name a few of the books that he wrote?
Yeah. First is Updeshamrit, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, then Vidagdha Madhava, Lalita Madhava, then I think Danakeli Kamudi is there.
Ujjval Nilamani also.
Ujjval Nilamani is there, and Stavamala.
Stavamala is there. Stavamala, is it not Raghunath Das Goswami? I'm a little confused.
There's Stavavali. There was Stavavali.
Oh, Stavavali, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so basically, he's the expert, Rasacharya in the field of Ras. And within Ras, of course, the whole explanation of Bhakti is given. That culminates in Rasa, basically. So we dealt only with Purva Vibhag in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. We know only. But the 3 other Vibhag, the 3 other oceans deal with Rasa. And the one we dealt with is the ocean dealing with the method, the sadhana. We have seen the second Lahari is the biggest Lahari of the book. Sadhana Bhakti. This is the method, the Abhideya. So first, Eastern Ocean, Purva Vibhag, we have seen. Remember, that was in the exam actually. Sadhana, Bhav, Prem. So within sadhana, we find Vedi and Raganuk. And sadhana is so important because this is the preliminary. It's meant to be for us, the unqualified ones. How can they strive to get to the real bhakti, sadhya? So that's very important. That's why in Bhakti Shastri we stick to Purva Vibhag, because we are dealing with the preliminary stage of Prem, and that is Bhav. And how to get to Bhav, we have to follow sadhana. Whether we come from Bhav whether we come from Vedi or Raganug, we have to get to Bhav, and Bhav is Premankor, the rays of love of Godhead, or the seed of ecstatic love for Krishna. So that is why gradually Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is there, and then the daily manual of a devotee of a sadhaka is Upadeshamrita. And again, it's mentioned in the Antya Lila, beautiful shlok. Pritivite ropan karigela premankor. Se premankurera vriksha Chaitanya Thakur. That Madhavendra Puri Gosai, he has sowed the seed of ecstatic love for Krishna. The Madhurya Prem has been sowed by Madhavendra Puri Gosai within this material world, and then he departed. And of course, that seed later became a great tree in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we have to remember, before Madhavendra Puri Gosai, Vaishnav maintained and understood that the goal of their worship was Vishnu, basically, Eshvaya Bhav, Vekunt. And that was as given by Madhva, the Tadvadis, basically. So the question arises, we kind of touched upon it in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is Vedi, we could say, is Vedi sufficient in itself to develop love of Godhead? Is sadhana, I would say more sadhana than Vedi. Is sadhana sufficient in itself to develop love of Godhead?
We also need the mercy of Lord and his devotees.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And remember, in the beginning of the book, NOD, Srila Prabhupada explained that there are certain prescribed methods for employing our senses and mind in such a way that our dormant consciousness for loving Krishna will be invoked, in as much as the child, and the example of the child attempting to walk. But it's within him. Krita sadhya bhavet, sadhya bhava, sa sadhana bidha. It's krita sadhya. As long as you engage your senses, it's going to come. But again, strictly speaking, we cannot say, Prabhupada is very clear look it up in the beginning of NOD, it cannot be a rose simply by practice. It says there. There is no such practice. When we wish to, develop our inner or innate, I would say, capacity for devotional service, there are certain processes, yes, by our accepting and executing those particular processes, that will cause the dominant propensity to be invoked. This is the point. That is called sadhana bhakti, basically. So, again, but Upadeshamrita is just like NOD. I'm trying to compare the two books because they are quite intimate, but still they're not exactly on par. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is more like a theoretical outline. Remember I told you in the beginning of that book, it's a book of definitions. There was a need in those days, 16th century India. Srila Prabhupada Swami had to deal with different doctrines, Tantra, Nyaya, Smarta, Mayavad, Shaktas. So he gave ample definition as to what is bhakti and pure bhakti. So he gave a theoretical outline of the whole science of bhakti, let's put it this way. But Upadeshamrita is even more intimate because it's a practical guideline to attain the highest level. So in other words, you follow, Upadeshamrita is more for the devotees already. It's an in-house book, we could say. You follow? It's an in-house book. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu gives the elements, yes, the angas. He proves through quoting Shastra abundantly that to make it official. That is why, did you notice in Purva Vibhag, Srila Rupa Goswami has quoted even more from Shruti than anywhere else. We have to admit, most of the books, most of the Purva Vibhag is quoted verses from external sources. Did you notice? Mm-hmm. If you look at the Sanskrit of the Purva Vibhag, you will see there's tremendous amount of external sources of the shlok. Bhagavatam, Shruti mantras. He has named, he has coined, he has written, he has penned a few shlokas of his own, obviously. Talking about Purva Vibhag mostly. But most of them are coming from external sources. Why? Because he wants to establish the supremacy of Bhakti Ras, Bhakti Krishna Bhakti in the 16th century in India. Whereas NOI, it's a brief book, nowhere in comparison in terms of size. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is 3 times Gita. And you have seen 11 shlok and hardly any quotation. So it's meant to be a manual for our sadhana, from the lowest to the highest. It's meant it's an in-house book, basically. And the first verses deal with the basics, and later we're going with Tubhav and Prem even. So it's a very important book for us. Even we are apprentice, Gaudiya Vaishnav, but still. So, yeah, I've got some quotes here I want to, as I said, when I teach that book, I always, give a general outline first. Not only are we trying to attain Prem, but Krishna Prem. And there's different types of Prem. There's Vishnu Prem, there's Narayan Prem. So Prem itself is very rare. We cannot deny. And Krishna Prem is even rarer. So we know that the Lord appears periodically, sometimes periodically, and it comes in a blue moon, once in a blue moon. Vishnu, I'm talking about Lord Vishnu. Doesn't come often. And oftentimes we have to see the Bhagavatam, people worship Vishnu. Look at Prahlad, look at Dhruv. They worship, Dhruv used to worship Prishnigarbha. Prahlad is Nrsingadev. Nrsingadev is Lila Avatar. So, and Lord Krishna himself, the Satyam Param Dimahi, comes very rarely. He's meant to come once in a kalpa, if he deems it fit to come. Otherwise, he may even abstain himself. He's the Supreme. So, he's not so well known as the avatars, basically. Because we have seen, even to make the matter even more complex and perplexing, is even listed as one of the avatars in the third chapter of the first canto. So Krishna performs his lila in such a way that you may become a little skeptical if you don't understand what is the supreme personality of Godhead. A lot of people speculate on the position of Krishna. Some people think Krishna is an ancient king in ancient India, or he was maneuvering, his way politically to get power. I've heard everything. And some people will speculate, even the Tadvavadis, you have seen, they don't accept Brahma Vimohan Lila. It's difficult for them to accept that even Indra, Brahma, they have been ridiculed by Krishna. That's why for many scholars in India, they accept Bhagavatam has only 332 shloks. You know that, huh? There's chapters. They don't accept three verses. Many of them don't accept three chapters. Bhagavatam has 335, but many of them accept 332. Certain, like the Tadavaris, don't accept Brahma Vimohan chapters. You know, to surrender to a small boy who's running naked in the land. He's got dust all over his body from the cows. To tell that he's the master of the universe and the supreme. So Brahma understood that, yes. But after he had stolen the goats and the calves, then Krishna expanded himself, and finally, Lord Brahma, for one full chapter, 14 in 10th canto, he profusely excused himself. I mean, he apologized. Then he saw him, and you can see he had clay daubed all over his body, you know, buffalo horn on the side, you know, holding a bowl of rice in his left hand. So, you know, a lot of people, especially not Gaudiya, of course, but a lot of other Vaishnavas even get bewildered. So it's a rare opportunity. It's a very rare opportunity that Lord Krishna comes once in a day of Kalpa, followed by Mahaprabhu as Avatari. Again, we have to remember this Mahaprabhu is not Amshakale, he is Avatari. Radhabhav Duti Suvaritam Numi Krishna Swarupam. It's very rare. The other Mahaprabhu coming in different Divya Yuga do not give Prem Sankirtan. They don't give love of Godhead. It takes the Supreme to give love of Godhead. It doesn't take an avatar. He may be given Yuga Dharma in other Kali Yuga, but in this particular one is the Supreme Avatari. So that's very confidential. We cannot deny. That is why Srila Goswami, that is his main concern, to reveal the divinity. All the acharyas, Vrindavan Das Thakur, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, that's their main concern. Considering, given the fact that Mahaprabhu is Rahasya, you know, is Chana Avatar, the role of the Acharya, especially right after Mahaprabhu, is to emphasize, yes, is not only the Supreme, is Avatari. Is Avatari. So that is why Mahaprabhu told them, you please compile literatures to establish that point. That Krishna, yes, is Adipurush, Krishna is to Bhagavan Swayam, but also Mahaprabhu. So there's a contrast, and we cannot deny, there's a contrast with Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu and NOI. Because, again, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu is attempting to establish Bhakti, Krishna Bhakti, to be specific. Whereas Upadeshamrit is attempting to glorify Krishna Bhakti to Radha Krishna. You follow? So in that sense, it's much more intimate even. See, you know that Vignesh most probably, lots of Vaishnav worldwide are willing to accept Krishna. Hardly anyone will speculate, even as the Supreme. But when it comes to Radha, you know, that's a different ball game. You have seen even the Ramanandis in Rajasthan. They gave a hard time to the king of Jaipur in those days, and then Baladev had to come to straighten them out. And they were a bit smarters on the side, and if I'm not mistaken, they were even offshoot of the Sri Vaishnava, I think, the Ramanandis, in Galta near Jaipur. So it's not a joke. Krishna, yes. Supreme, yes. But Radha, oh, they have little difficulty. So we have to see, in terms of historical Vaishnava tradition, that only 2 Vaishnav Sampradaya accept Radha. Do you know that? What are the 2 Vaishnav Sampradaya that accept Radha out of the 4?
It is not that prominent, Prabhu, but I have heard one lecture from Hari Parshad Prabhu. So that is quoted from all the 4 Sampradayas, Acharyas
Yes.
have mentioned about Radharani in their verses. Of course, don't highlight it as like a prominent one,
Yeah.
prominent consort, but they
Yeah.
do have mentioned that, as one of the
Oh yeah, no
devotee
doubt.
of Radharani.
No doubt. But in terms of daily
Yeah, in terms of, I
routine,
think, superiority, I think it's Nimbarka Sampradaya is there.
yeah,
That
exactly.
is the primary one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Welcome, Golokananda Mataji. Huh?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah,
Hare
we
Krishna
started at
Mataji.
3. You got misled or something?
Is it?
It's
We
daylight
started
saving time.
1 hour ago.
Oh, why?
I don't know. It's 3 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock here.
It's daylight saving time, Mataji.
Oh,
Yeah.
daytime, time. I know. Anyway.
Yeah, it's 4 o'clock here. So you're right, Vignesh. Huh? Nimbak accept Radhakrishna. Nimbak acharyas are the closest to us, by all means. You know, there are certain ways, Fakya, yes, it's not Parakya, but Mahaprabhu goes even further because he establishes Parakya ras. And we are, with no shame and no apprehension, we worship Radhakrishna in Gaudiya. That has been questioned by many, again, in Galta, during the time of, in the 18th century, I believe, during Vishwanath. So here, Rupa Goswami in NOI, he comes to glorify Bhakti, how to perform Bhakti, how to come to the higher stage of Bhakti, where we can get spiritual emotion, and to surrender to Radha Krishna, not to Krishna, Radha Krishna. So this book is not trying to establish or to prove anything else. It's not trying to prove anything, actually, that book. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, yes, is trying to establish Bhakti as the supreme process. Yes, we cannot deny. That was the intent of Rupa Goswami. This is his major book, by the way, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It is his major book. So, and then that is why you find different waves or lahari of Bhakti within the book, sadhana, bhav, prem, and he has amply quoting Shastra from all over to establish it. So we get, that is why we should be reading first Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We get conviction that it's bona fide, and then you feel very powerful. Once you have Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in your pocket, you feel very convinced, and you can convince others. It's loaded. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, you cannot defeat. It's so well done. Bhakti is a bona fide process, thanks to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The proofs are ample and sufficient. But as I said, Upadeshamrit goes further. It's more intimate. How to go from the lower stages to the highest. It doesn't have to prove anything here, Rupa Goswami. It's been proven. It's been this Prem Bhakti is the supreme path in and of itself. So this is the purpose of this book, how to reconnect with Radha and Krishna. And you're going to see that in the preface. How to relate even to the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. This is very intimate, very, very esoteric. And we know that the 6 Goswamis' contribution is unparalleled, because we can only understand Radha Krishna through the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is available through the mercy of the Goswamis. Rup Raghunath Pade Haibe Akuti Kabe Ham Bujiba Bujabe Se Yugal Piriti. This is the prayers of, actually it's a verse of Swarup Damodar Gosai, if I'm not mistaken. When shall I be eager to understand the literature given by the Goswamis? Then only then only you can understand the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. So anyway, ever since we started Golokananda, we haven't even opened the book as yet. I'm just establishing the position of that book compared to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and I just reset up the historical context of such an important small book, that we have to be on the same page. So that is why this little book can really help us through, because it's a manual, just like you have a manual, let's say you cook, you need a manual. Personally, when I cook, I need a manual. I cannot do without it. So in the same way, it's a manual. It's a daily manual, basically, for neophytes. It can help us strengthen considerably our spiritual lives, and ultimately to redevelop love for Radha Krishna. Even I remember, of course, you may say that it's no more true now, but I remember Bhaktivinoda Maharaj, I used to be close to him. I used to attend his classes. And he told me in those days, I mean, talking about 20 years ago, he told me that that book helped him to maintain his sannyas. So Upadeshamrit, first instructions meant for neophyte devotees, and Goswami. And Goswami is the temple. It is a title of a temple director. Goswami means, yes, control the senses, but if you go to Radharaman Mandir, you will see he may be wearing white, but they call him Goswami. You know why? Because he's a temple director. So that's what it means, basically. Also, he's in charge of the temple. They call him Goswami. And of course, he's meant to control his senses as well, in opposition to Godas, a servitor of his senses. Okay, so do you have any questions? Of course, Goloka, you just came, but perhaps Vignesh had questions because he has been listening from the beginning. Before we start, or is it clear? I just wanted to.
It's clear for me as of now.
Okay, great, Prabhu.
When we start, we can discuss.
Yeah. Okay. So let's dive into it now, because that's the purpose of this course. This is our last part of Bhakti Shastri. The preface is important. We cannot deny. Very important. So I propose that we read out, at least we can take turns, but you start, Vignesh, if you want.
Sure. Preface. The Krishna consciousness movement is conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas or Bengali Vaishnavas are mostly followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of whom the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan are direct disciples. Therefore, Sri Narottama Das Thakur has sung Rupa Raghunatha Pade Haibe Akuti, Kabe Hama Bhujaba Se Yugala Piriti. That is, when I am eager to understand the literature given by the Goswamis, then I shall be able to understand the transcendental loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. Unquote.
What chapter are you reading, Vignesh?
You can go.
It's preface.
15?
Preface.
You can read out now, Goloka, if you want. It's your turn.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know which chapter.
It's
preface.
Preface. I'm not there. You can keep on reading.
Okay.
Should I read?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in order to bestow upon human society the benediction of the science of Krishna. The most exalted of all the activities of Lord Krishna are his pastimes of conjugal love with the gopis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the mood of Srimati Radharani, the best of the gopis. Therefore, to understand the mission of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and follow in his footsteps, one must very seriously follow in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis: Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Sujiva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami.
Yeah. Srila Rupa Goswami was the leader of all the Goswamis. And to guide our activities, he gave us this Upadeshamrit to follow. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left behind him the 8th slok known as Shishashtaka, Rupa Goswami gave us Upadeshamrit so that we can become pure Vaishnava. In all spiritual affairs, one's first duty is to control the mind and senses. Unless one controls his mind and senses, one cannot make advancement in spiritual life. Everyone is engrossed in mode of passion and ignorance. We must come to the platform of goodness, that's Vagun, by following the instructions of Rupa Goswami. Then we can make progress. Now the key sentence is coming up. Advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. This is the key sentence, I would say, highlighted by many. The attitude. You may know Shastra, you may be present, at least go through the motions of bhakti, be there even for Mangalarati. But the attitude, that's the inner consideration. It will transpire in your daily life if you are walking your talk, attitude towards other devotees, even attitude towards other jiv, even non-devotee jiv, the guru, attitude towards yourself. This is the real key word here. Perfect Goswami. And of course, I was mentioning that Vrindavan, this is the title by which the director of each temple is known. It's true. But on top of that, it's not only, okay, I happen to be the manager, so they call me Goswami. Do you reflect the intent of that term, Goswami, master? So again, Srila Prabhupada is reminding us that what does it take to become a Goswami? Follow the instructions of Rupa Goswami. And of course, it's a reminder of all the books that he wrote. So I will send you after this class, you have to always, I remember my Shastra Guru for Padeshamrit was Kumarup Prabhu. He left the world now. Extremely advanced person. He used to be taking care of the cows. And he used to tell us that we should always consider the first 4 shlok of this book as one, which especially the first 4. They are extremely correlated. They are intimately correlated, all the way to 4. Yeah, definitely. I'll send you a table after this class, but never distinguish between those 4. They are, one impacts the other. There's a great flow between those 4 shlok. Okay,
Which 4 slok you're talking about?
The first 4.
Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu?
No, we are doing Upadeshamrit, huh?
Oh,
Looks like you're quite lost.
okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you.
doing Upadeshamrit. It's we
Okay,
finished.
okay.
We finished. By the way, you have to write your exam also, Goloka,
Yeah.
in this life sometime.
I'll call you one day, next week.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to, let's read one. You can go ahead, Vignesh.
Yes,
but, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, completely like out of it.
Should the Sanskrit?
Yeah. Oh, yes, of course.
Okay.
Under the Sanskrit, of all the shlok in Upadeshamrit should be written in, read in Sanskrit. They are loaded.
Okay. Text number 1.
Where did
Vacho
you read?
Vegam. Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
I can read if you want.
Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
you can read.
You want
Yes,
to.
Where are you now?
Text
Text
one.
number 1.
Verse 1?
Yes.
Okay, you read it. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay. Text 1. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam. Jivha vegam udara upastha vegam. Etan vegan yo vishaheta dhiraha. Sarvam apimam prithvim sa sishyat. Translation. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world.
Yeah.
I
So,
can read the purport
yes.
now.
Well, the purport is 15 pages, so we're not going to read the whole
No
purport.
purport. You're just reading the verses.
No, we're going to be dealing with the purport, but we're not going to read the whole purport. It's going to take 15 minutes, easy. We're going to dissect the purport. That's for
Okay.
sure. That's for sure. So, first of all, what is the key term that keeps on coming in one?
Vegam,
Yeah. What's the meaning of vegam?
the urge, the urge.
Urge.
Yeah, urge. So here, and this verse is key because how many urges are there according to one?
6.
Is
Six. Yeah, definitely. So that's why I'm saying you will see the intimate correlation in those four. Very clear connection. We're going to discuss, and I hope Chandra will get the same point in his teaching. So, what is the first urge to be mentioned here?
speak the tongue.
Yeah, jiva, sharira avidajal jodendriya traikal jive feeling. Jive. So the tongue, body. It's very interesting because are you familiar with the book a little bit, Goloka?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been around for a while, so you should know that book. And remember, if you jump to text number 2, atyahara prayasascha. Atyahara means
Overeating.
yeah, or over collecting, but you can see the connection. See, I'm pointing it out. Vacho vegam, and text number 2, it starts with atyahara. In other words, don't overeat. If you want to do vacho vegam, don't overeat. What does it take in reality on a daily basis? Verse number 3.
Utsahan.
Yes, excellent. Utsahan, you see, the Komarup was the top teacher, I remember. Utsahan means enthusiastic. Enthusiastic. Do service. You're not going to overeat if you do service. Full swing. You eat, yes. You take prashad. You are working in the field. Okay, do you eat well then? Then number 4, dadati pratigrinati. What does it take if you want to keep your belly regulated? Offer prashad. Don't stuff yourself day and night. Offer the prashad. Dadati. Dadati means give prashad. You can see I want you to see the correlation between the first 4 shlok. Don't distinguish them. It's one block practically. Let's carry on. This is the first impulse. Then, since we are in the body, let's stick to the body. They are not in order, but since we started with Vacho Vegam, the body, this is the tongue, right? The speech. Let's pick up the other one pertaining to the body. Where is it? There's 2 more pertaining to the body.
So I didn't understand exactly. You're talking about Jiva Vegam, right? Right now?
Yeah, I'm talking about
Okay.
Jiva
The
Vegam.
belly and the genital.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right, Goloka. If you look at Udar in verse number 1, Udar means?
The belly.
Yeah.
Belly.
So, again, we are told by Rupa Goswami, check your belly, control your belly. And what does it take? Text number 2, again, Over endeavor, atyahara, overeating. How does it take to do that on a daily basis? Verse number 3. Endeavor with confidence. You follow? Nischayat, endeavor with confidence. Don't give up after 10 years, 20 years, 40 years. Number 4, pratigrinati, accepts gift in return. You offer and don't have false humility. Accept the gift. Yes. You are being glorified. Okay, accept the glorification, but give it back. Give the credit back to Srila Prabhupada or to your guru. Those 4 verses are intimately connected. Back to number 1, the speech. Talking about the speech here. Vachrovegam, we are still there.
Manasu.
Then, no, I'm not here. I'm not in Manasu yet. I'm still in Vachrovegam because there's a lot to say on Vachrovegam. Now, how to curb that? What is the effect of? What is the effect if your Vachrovegam is not controlled? It appears in verse number 2. What's going to be the effect of that?
Rajalpa.
Exactly. See? Exactly. Prajapa, we know what it is. You speak nonsense. What does it take on a daily basis to stop Prajalpa? It's not going to happen overnight. It takes Dhiryat. Dhiryat means patience. How to go about it if you have difficulty with that? Verse number 4 is very clear. It's a beautiful way of learning by Upadeshamrit. What does it take? Reveal your mind. Guyam, Akyati Prichati. Akyati, you explain, Prabhu, I have a problem with my speech. I eat too much. I speak nonsense too much. Please help me. Be patient. See the correlation? Now, back to text 1. Vacho manasa. Sorry, manasa vegam. Sorry, manasa vegam. So, what is it, manasa vegam in Sanskrit?
Mind.
Yeah.
Urges of mind.
Yeah. So we have to be careful. What is the tendency of the mind?
To think on different things, like go haywire on thinking of
Go
various
haywire.
topics.
That's well put.
Yes.
Well put. So the mind sometimes, I'm trying to jump to number 2 now. There's a term in number 2, niyamagraha. There's 2 ways to understand niyamagraha. You can become very lax. You can become very lax because you have understood, yes, the goal is Prem Pumatu Mahan. I know, pure love of God. Okay, my goal is set up. But now, in the name of knowing the goal well, you become lax or slacken in your practice. That's one aspect of Niyamagraha. Okay? Or the other way around. You are so much finicky about your daily practice, you become even smarter a little bit, ritualism. So that you are so much finicky in your daily practice that you lost the goal, the supreme goal in mind, that is Prem Pumatu Mahan. And you start to nag the devotees even. Because you have this, Papa used to say, this over cleanliness disease. He used to say, my sister, or I forgot if it's his sister or daughter, she had it. He used to say, to joke, that she used to clean even the electrical plugs in the house. Can you imagine? So back to number 1, Manasa Vegam. How we have this urge of the mind, right? If we're not careful, it can become niyamagraha, ritualism. How to curb that? How to curb it?
By
Tattat karma pravartana. That
chanting the
Exact,
name and
excellent. Yes, you understood. Tattat kama pravartana. Number 3, follow the regulative principles, but don't be fanatical. Do it to the right dose, not too little, not too much. You know, follow the regulative principles. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. And if you don't know, number 4, inquire. Inquire from someone, from your head pujari. You may be a pujari, but you are too stiff, too finicky even, and you're always late because you're too finicky. So please, my dear head pujari, help me. I've got difficulty to be ready on time. And he will tell him, yes, you tend to be a little bit too niyamagraha. Control your mind. The goal is to be on time so that devotees can behold the deities, their lordships. So you follow the intimate correlation between those 4. Back to number 1, upasta. Pasta means upasta, vegam. Upasta means genitals. We are being told here, we have to be wary, we have to be on guard. What is the danger? Mantra 2? Janasanga. Janasanga. Yes. If you hang out with Janasanga, automatically your material desires will be revamped. That's without question. Even if you are been in ISKCON 50 years, even if you're a sannyasi, no question. And what is the remedy? It's given in verse number 3. Sangat Yagat. Exactly. You understand the mind of Rupa Goswami, how he built up his book. Good association. And what does it take? Number 4, accept prasad, Krishna Katha, This is how we should understand this book. Back to number 1, the mind. One of the aspects of the mind, Jayatu Vishayam Pumsam, we discussed in the Gita, 242, I believe, or 262 perhaps. That's crowd. We know. Shri Bhagwan Uvacha, Rajo Vega, what is it? Kamaisha Kudaisha, Rajoguna Samudbhavaha, Mahoshana Mahapapa, Vijena Haverinam. If Kam is unfulfilled, then crowd is going to kick in. Anger, that's the mind again. So what does it take? According to Mantra 2? Look it up, everything is there. Loliam, you become greedy. I want this land. I want this land. Yes, I want it. I want this car. I want this computer. Become greedy. Even in Krishna consciousness, you can become greedy. I want this ring. I want this girl. But you can become greedy. So mantra 3, what is the remedy? How to curb that? Sato Vrite. Mahajana Yanasagata Panta, follow in the previous acharya. How to curb the greediness in you. Number 4, Dan. Dan means charity. You follow? It's very well done. Rupa Goswami is so expert. So, it's connected to the 3, I would say, the main external symptoms of a Vaishnava. Pratikulyasya Varjana. We discussed Hari Bhakti Vilas. We have to reject whatever is unfavorable. That's verse number 2, basically. And verse number 3, it's Anukulyasya Sankalpa. We have to accept what is favorable. You can see how Rupa Goswami has built up that book on Shastra, on Bhakti Shastra. There's a manual guide. And number 4, always stays in the association of devotees. that will help you to implement verse number 3. You know, it's a compact book. Don't distinguish between the shlok, especially the first 4. You follow?
Yes.
Do you have any questions so far?
I was just thinking, like you mentioned Krodha Vegam, controlling the anger, and Sattva Vritti. How exactly you connected both of them, following in the footsteps of Acharyas and Krodha Vegam?
Yeah, okay.
Is it like we have to learn humility from our Acharyas? Is that the meaning?
Yeah, you know, mind you become prone to anger. Usually it's unfulfilled calm, lust, become greedy. So Sattva Vritti, you have to they are our role models, you know. Number 3, Sattva Vritti. They are our role models, basically your guru. When you say Sattva Vritti, doesn't only mean Narottam Das Thakur, you know, or Vishwanath. No, it means also your ISKCON seniors, you know, your Diksha, your Shiksha, you know.
Yeah.
You follow in the footsteps of those great souls, even in ISKCON today.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean only in the days of yore. So anyway, I just wanted to.
It's like a Vaishnava Seva kind of thing, right? By Vaishnava Seva, we can get humility and control our anger.
So we have seen, according to Gita, that elevation and degradation can take place on 3 platforms, remember? Elevation and degradation can take place on 3 different platforms, remember? In the 17th chapter, it can take place on the mental platform, it can take place on the speech platform, and it can take place on the body platform. I don't know if you remember those verses, 17, 14, 15, 16. Look them up if you want. I want you to be on the same page. So you can see, I'm trying to tell you that Rupa Goswami has built this book totally in conformity with Gita and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So let's read 17:14.
Austerity of mind, body, and words.
Yeah. So you can see 17:14, we're talking about the body, consists in worship of the Supreme Lord, Brahmans, gurus, superiors, like father and mother, cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence. And then austerity of speech, Vachovegam, dealt with in 15, speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, not agitating to others. That's not easy. You are angry, you know. You become harsh. Especially you become harsh with your loved ones. This is even worse than receiving a blow from an enemy. You're harsh with your wife, you're harsh with your kid, you're harsh with your devotees, that someone you've been close for 15 years, 20 years, 40 years. And you become harsh. You know? That's heavy. So we're dealing with Vachovegam here. And how to combat this? Regularly reciting Vedic literature. And then finally the mind. What does it take? Vacho Manasavigam, we discussed. Satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, purification of one's existence. Hostilities of the mind. So this is the point of Rupa Goswami. The senses are not directly the cause of fall down. It's how do we redirect them? The senses are like, we discussed in the Gita, they're like cobra. If you have seen a charming cobra person, he knows how to charm the cobra. So charming the senses means to engage the senses. And it comes from Sattva Vritti. It comes from proper association. So this is very well explained. Shadvidim Pritilakshanam. It appears in 3, I believe, the 6 types of association, or in 4 perhaps.
So,
Yeah. And
Oh.
then we can counteract material tendency and, and rise to the spiritual platform. And we are talking about a Madhyam Adhikari here. In other words, Rupa Goswami wants us to become Madhyam. These are the external traits of a Madhyam here, as exemplified in those 4 verses. So now, if we go back to, we haven't even touched the purport, but let's touch a little bit of one. Srila Prabhupada is talking about Prayaschit. Do you understand this term, Goloka, Prayaschit?
Yeah, atonement.
Exactly. You know the story, it's mentioned in Padma Puran. You know the verse, huh? What is the verse? Beautiful verse, Prarabdha, Aprarabdha Karma. How does it start?
there are 4 types, like Prarabdha, Kuta, that one.
Yeah, but how does it start, the Sanskrit of that verse? I have it on the tip of my tongue. Prarabdha, Aprarabdha, anyway, I'm forgetting it. But we are dealing with that section of Padma Purana. Different types of intelligence, the person is told, he doesn't act. The first type is he's told, immediately gets the point, he refrains. And of course, comes up the question of Parikshit Maharaj in the 6th canto, Drishta Shrutabhyam Yat Papam. So the Prayaschit. Actually, we have to remember in this section of the 6th canto, Shukadev is tricking, is playing a trick on his disciple. I don't know if you noticed, huh? I don't know if you know the 6th canto in the beginning, but Shukadev is asking how to go about, because you know the story. We in the 5th canto, at the end of the 5th canto, we have been talking about hellish planets. So Maharaj Parikshit is asking his guru right in the beginning of the 6th canto how to atone, what should we do for those poor fellows rotting in hell? They are yelling like hell. This is the right time to say they are yelling like hell. And what is the answer of Shukadev? Did you notice? He plays a trick on his disciple. What did he say in the beginning of 6th canto? No, just do pious deeds. Do pious deeds. You can do pious deeds, Maharaj Parikshit. They should do pious deeds to atone for their mistake. It tricks them. It tricks him. And Maharaj Parikshit doesn't swallow the pill. He said, I'm sorry, my dear Guru, but it doesn't work like that. And then he quotes those verses. See, they are right in the beginning of the 6th canto. Look it up, 6:110.
Yeah.
And he gives, my dear Guru Maharaj, sorry, but no, because even if you atone, again, because the bij, the kutam is going to push you to again sin. The example of the venereal disease. The guy goes see the prostitute, he catches the disease, syphilis, whatever. Again, okay, I will abstain 6 months, 1 year. Again, he goes back. Why? Kutam. Kutam means it's the proclivity to again do it. It's not removed. It's still there, within, deep, like the bamboo. Prabhupada gives example of the bamboo in the 6th canto also, same section. You cannot remove, even if you cut low the bamboo, again it goes. Even if you burn the bloody bamboo, again it grows. You have to go very deep. The only thing that can help not the bamboo to grow is you have to burn it very deep. And in Krishna consciousness, what does it take? This is the conclusion of Brahma in the Kalishantara Upanishad. Iti Shodashakam Namnam Kali Kalmashanashanam. This mantra of 16 syllables, mantra Hare Krishna, Kali Kalmashanashanam, it's going to destroy the root of sin. Vishnu Bhakti Ratatmanam, same point as in Padma Puran.
Yeah.
And then back to the sixth canto, Parikshit Maharaj will tell to his Guru Maharaj, yes, actually, just like Bhaskara, I don't know if it's quoted here.
It's dissipating fog by its rays.
Yeah,
That's an analogy.
it's not quoted here by Srila Prabhupada, but the Bhaskara, the sun will definitely dissipate. So only pure bhakti will dissipate everything. Vishnu Bhakti Ratatmanam. Kali Kalmashanashanam. So again, the elephant bathing is useless because again, it's going to sprinkle dust on his body. That is why it's an offense. Prabhupada calls Nanno Balad Yasyahi Papa Buddhihi, Padma Puran also. Again, you chant, but you're not careful because you hang out. Jana Sangha, we discussed, mantra 2. You are a little slack in that respect, Jana Sangha. You hang out a little bit. Up, automatically, you commit sinful activity and understanding of the holy name. So it's a science. Gives the example of the Christians confessing, my dear God, my dear Lord Jesus Christ, please forgive me. You please chant a few Ave Maria for 10 minutes and you'll be all set. No, that is why the mainstream religion do not suffice to thwart Kali Yuga. Prabhupada said repeatedly, they cannot thwart the effects of Kali Yuga. Manda sumanda matayu, manda bagya yupadu. They cannot thwart it. They are just polishing, it's like a polish. It's a veneer. It's a veneer of religiosity on mankind. You're not going to curb the evil effects of Kali Yuga like this. No way. Kali Yuga is going full swing. It's exponential. It's going full swing. Only pure Krishna consciousness. Any questions? Is it clear, Goloka?
Yeah, yeah.
And then Prabhupada goes on to say, mantra 1, real atonement, we know. We have to, should be coupled with tap. This, remember the verse, Rishabdev. Tapos divya putrakam yena sadvam shudyat. Why we perform tap? Tapo divyam putraka yena sadvam shudyat. Brahmasokam to anantam. Brahmasokam to anantam. To attain to Brahmasuk, why do we control why do we perform tap? Not just for the sake of showing off, because shudyat, we have to purify the heart. Otherwise, we are not so much into tap. Prabhupada was not a tapasvi. He was not so austere, Prabhupada, actually, in terms of bodily. He was, but he was yukta viragi. He engaged everything in service of Krishna. So this is the point here. And again, reminding us, brahmacharya, controlling the mind, controlling the senses, keeping clean. Yoga asana also, it's mentioned here. it's not maya. Yoga asana is, see, pranayam, little padmasan and headstand, on the floor. It's good. The flood is going down. It's good to irrigate the brain. We need it, So here, again, Srila Prabhupada is stressing initiation. And he's going to delineate, basically, he's going to delineate each vegam we discussed already. Controlling the speaking power. That's why we have to engage into Krishna Katha. Otherwise, we engage into talking about, now it's no more COVID because COVID is over, but Ukraine and all these things,
Lots of things to discuss, like people discuss about politics.
What is the verse of Shukadev in the beginning of the second canto? There's a beautiful verse. Just like the birds in the morning, you know, they're always chirping day and night. Where's food? Where is food? They're indicating to one another, food is there, go ahead. And Prabhupada gives the verse, what is it? It appears,
What?
it appears right in the beginning of the second canto. We're always asking questions, you know, the birds are asking questions, where is food amongst themselves. So we ask questions, but ask questions about spiritual life. You know, Prabhupada used to read the papers, it's a fact, to keep abreast. Yeah. But, you know, it's Prabhupada, and as a leader, we have to know what's going on, you know. He met with Indira Gandhi, you know, so he had some intent in mind to. Sometimes you have to be a little aware, not too much, a little aware. Now, in regard to controlling the speech, Prabhupada is reminding us not to fall the other extreme. The monavrat. This is also useless. As long as you speak Krishna Katha, you're all safe. This is not only you're all safe, it's going to, what is the verse? By beginning of the first canto, of the 10th canto, sorry, 10:14:8. Remember that verse? Spoken by Brahma. Yanaprayasam mudapasya namantaiva jivanti sambukalitam bhavadiyavartam. Stanestita shrutigatam tanuvan manubi ye prayaso chitajito pyasites trilokyam. Yes, we don't have to. Gyaneprayasam mudapasya namantaiva. We have to reject gyan, this dry knowledge, dry renunciation. Gyaneprayasam mudapasya namantaiva, and chant. And Krishna Katha, whether it comes from Krishna himself or from the words, the mouth of the pure devotees, then Jita Jito Pyatites Trilokyam, you can conquer Ajit. Ajit is Krishna, unconquerable. It becomes Jit, becomes conquerable by Krishna Katha. So this is the power, you know. We like to speak, teach, speak, preach, you know. Whereas the Mayavadis, they refrain, always the same problems, Falgu Veragi, you know. It's dangerous, it's dangerous, it's dangerous, it's dangerous, it's Maya. Engage it, Devayesha Gunamayi. Mature world is divine energy of Krishna. Engage her.
Normally what happens is that don't take, Krishna also mentions, right, in the Gita that Mahatmanas tu mam partha devim prakriti mashrita. Don't take shelter of Devi Prakriti, and because of that, they fall into Maya.
Yeah. He calls it divine, Devayesha Gunamayi. It's divine energy. It belongs to him. So give back to Caesar whatever belongs to Caesar. Simple. It's not rocket science in one sense. Then, of course, talking about Manasa Vegam, Krishna Suyasam, Maya Oyandaka, you engage the mind. We discuss, quoting 17th chapter of the Gita. You read. That's intellect, but that's also the mind, thinking, willing, feeling, you know. And you just vary. I used to do that a lot. I remember morning Gita, during the day, at night Krishna book, and during the night I would be Bhagavatam. So this way the mind doesn't become fatigued. You know, variety is mother of spices. But it's, you know, the vacuum. This is true. The nitty doesn't work like that. Anger, what to do with the anger, Goloka?
It controls anger.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not a joke. But I mean, it works. What can you do? Hanuman, remember?
Prabhupada, you can use the anger in Krishna service.
Yeah.
Like
It's good.
Hanuman,
You become angry if it is well
Jagai,
grounded.
Jagai Madai. Oh, Lord
I mean,
Chaitanya.
you become angry, if it is, especially if you're a parent, you become angry at your son. If it is well grounded, he's going to get the point. Especially between 5 and 15, Papa say you have to be heavy. With a boy, especially boy, 5 and 15. After 15, you should become a friend, but up to 15, you have to be heavy.
Prabhupada mentions about we should control the anger by having becoming angry on those who blaspheme the Lord or
Yeah.
devotees of the Lord.
Exactly.
I was thinking, like, most of the times when people are not don't have proper control over the anger, sometimes sometimes we do a lot of bashing of Mayavadis,
Yeah.
and sometimes we make it just get we just get carry over on all those things and don't exactly focus on bhakti. I've seen some of the devotees, who just do a lot of things against Mayavadis, but then somewhere they get misdirected and they just don't focus on the essential aspect of bhakti,
Yeah.
and they just
That's
get
very
carried
true.
over on just bashing the Mayavadis as if like we are like Mayavadi
Yeah.
consciousness and not Krishna
Exactly.
consciousness.
Exactly. It is
That
mentioned
kind
in
of
the
thing.
book of Bhakti Thakur. What is it called, that book? Krishna Samhita, I think.
Krishna Samhita, yeah.
It says that debating can become demonic.
Yeah.
If you're not careful with debating, when you debate with someone, it can become demonic.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
don't,
like people post nowadays in social media, they post all kind of negative thing about
it
different
becomes demonic,
yogis,
it
different
becomes,
gurus, different sannyasis.
this is no more Krishna consciousness. This is hellish. This is demonic,
Yeah,
asuric. Prabhupada is very clear on this. This is asuric.
and they're just thinking how you can ban this devotee, you can banish this
It's
devotee
no more Krishna
from the
consciousness.
society.
No more Krishna consciousness. As soon as you divorce yourself of the energies of Krishna, this is very true. You divorce yourself by your demeanor.
Yeah.
You become off, even in the name of Krishna consciousness. This is one of the Shatushloki, by the way. I don't know if you know that. Yes. Ritirtam yad pratiyata nat pratiyata chatmani. Krishna is speaking to Brahma. Tadvidyam atmanumadyam yatabaso yatamataha. So Krishna is telling, this is Shatushloki, that whatever appears to be of any value, my dear Brahma. So you are campaigning. Oh, I'm. What you see, I'm bashing the Mayavadis. If it is without relation to me, my dear Brahma, it has no reality. Because you try to divorce, or now you're on a crusade against the Mayavadis. It's just like in the 70s at the Bhaktivedanta Manor in UK. You know what happened? It was a trend in the 70s, non-devotee even. They would burn the butcheries. They would just light fire and burn down the butchery where they sell meat in UK. It was happening not by devotees, of course, not by outsiders. And then it was all over the newspaper, and devotees were rejoicing. Wow, wonderful. And then they brought it up to Prabhupada. Prabhupada blasted them. He said, nothing to do with, it's not our, we haven't opened this movement to decry the butchers. You are totally off. Exactly what it says here. It has, if it is not related to me, it has no reality. Shatushloki. Know it to be my illusory energy, my dear Brahma. It is my illusory energy, that reflection that appears to be in darkness. Such a beautiful verse, Shatushloki. Know it to be my illusory energy, that reflection that appears to be in darkness. You're trying to divorce energies from the Shaktiman. The Shakti from the Shaktiman. This is Maya.
Yes, especially it also needs one's intelligence and sufficient strong sadhana. Right? For example, if some people like Prabhupada would sometimes do a lot of bashing of Mayavadis, and some people try to
Imitate.
follow him, imitate him, and okay, say Prabhupada did, so we also do it. But still, they don't have proper intelligence and how time, place, circumstances, and the sadhana itself is not so strong. Then they get carried over,
And then
and
there's a difference between Anukaran and Anusharan.
yeah.
Anukaran and Anusharan. One is to imitate. Are you going to imitate Prabhupada? Are you going to imitate Mother Yashoda, Lord Shiv?
Yeah.
Drinking
One is Purush's footstep.
Nilkant? But Anusharan, yes. But, you know, Prabhupada also did say that because I'm old, I can take liberty. He said that. Because I'm a little old, I can do things that you cannot do because you are 20, 25, 30.
Yeah, the famous word that Prabhupada used, you rascal them all the time. We cannot use
We
that.
cannot do that. You know, he was
But I have I heard devotees use this word, you rascal.
he can, you know, I mean, sometimes with my boy, I'm a bit heavy regarding because he doesn't get the point. He's so young, you know. He hangs out so much to the school. And can you imagine the other day, the school mistress? Can you imagine? I mean, I was blown away. She told the boys and the girls, "Oh, my dear children, she ate one insect." And she was boasting about it. I ate one insect. They were talking about insect, you know, in the class. And she goes, "Oh, one day in my life, I ate one insect. It tastes like crisp, like chips." And can you imagine? I mean, what kind of education they're getting in France? I mean, I'm sure it's the same everywhere. So at night, the boys come and say, "Oh, you know, she ate an insect." So I told him, "You understand now when I told you they are useless and rascals? You understand or not?" So I told him, "You just get the minimum, how to write, how to read, how to count, one or two languages, yes, English and perhaps another one, okay? That's it. The rest is not well grounded." And he got the point. Wow, yes. You understand now? She's in charge of the class. And she's boasting to the children, "I ate one insect," as if to say, "Why don't you do it?" We are in Kali Yuga. It's just the beginning of Kali Yuga. See, this is the reality, the sheer, stark reality. And of course, Prashad, that's an important point. This is borderline, especially when you agree a star, you know. One time my guru told me a story, a very funny story, you know. He was close to Srila Prabhupada at the end of the life of Srila Prabhupada. So, sometimes Prabhupada used to send him to Calcutta on errands, you know, do this, do that, from Mayapur. And one day he confessed to Srila Prabhupada. He said, "You know, I have to admit, I like sweets. So sometimes when in Calcutta, I go to a sweet parlor and I eat sweets." And he told us the story, he was thinking, "I'm going to get blasted severely." So Prabhupada told him another story. He told him, if the king has a servant, and if the king trusts the servant, he likes the servant is efficient. He's not going to poke his nose so much on what the servant is eating, provided it's vegetarian. That's how he answered. So, you know, but what I was trying to say, especially as a Grihastha, it's a bit borderline, because some devotees are very strict and they are right. Don't take grains. Don't buy bread. Bread is a common amenity. It's a common commodity in France. You know, bread, you get all types of bread. Bread was born in France. You have to understand. What you guys eat in terms of bread or India, it's just a pale, very pale color of what is bread. Here we have 50 types of bread. You follow? 60 or 50 types of bread. So, you know, and I've seen, I don't want to mention names, but a lot of grihastas, they just buy bread because it's easier than to make chapati. But it's a fact that it affects the consciousness, If you keep on buying bread or especially grains cooked by non-devotees, and I know what they will say. I know all the tricks. They will say, "Oh, Prabhu, it's not done by man. It's done by a machine. There's no karma." Can you imagine how far they go? They will say that, "Oh, Prabhu, but it's done by a machine. The bread is no more made by." Well, down the road, I've got a baker here. He's still making his bread. I've seen. So, it's a fact I've noticed with my own consciousness. To buy grain outside is a bit risky. It affects your consciousness. We cannot deny. This is the greatness of having an Indian wife. She's going to make chapati and and she's going to make paratha and puri. Do you have any?
If you have a housewife, normally people today, both the couples go out, for work, don't get enough time to make all these
Yeah, you
things.
grab a
This is also one of the
sandwich.
reasons.
You grab a sandwich at the standpoint in the streets. I've seen in India, same story. Even devotees do that because they hardly have time to eat, and it's practical. It's ready made, and we fall into the trap. But we cannot deny that it affects the consciousness. No? I've seen it on myself. I cannot deny. Prabhupada did say that if you are invited to somewhere, you take milk and fruits. There's no karma. Milk and fruits. Do you have any realization from this particular point, taking grains, It's mentioned here by Prabhupada, the urges of the tongue. Take prasad at regular time. Personally, what I do, I take prasad when I'm hungry. I don't know if it's good. It's a good, I don't know. What do you think?
Did you,
I have,
did you Ekadasi? Ekadasi there?
sorry?
Are you Ekadasi there?
Yeah, today is Okadashi. I'm doing Nirjal. But when I take prasad, I take only prasad when I'm hungry. Is it a good habit or not? I may be wrong, yeah? Because I hate eating something when I'm not hungry. I find it useless. Just in the name of you got to eat at 2. What if you're not hungry at 2?
Some people they say you have to be regulated, but some people say you eat when you're hungry only.
Yeah, that's what I do. And I don't know if it's correct, but I do that. I've been doing that for years.
I think it's like a perpetual cycle, once we regulate, then body gets used to it, and
Yeah.
then we automatically get that tickling at that same point of time. Personally, when I was working, I was like hungry a lot of hours, and I would not get that feeling of being hungry. But when I left my job, then I was at home. Then I was to get a lot of feeling of being hungry. I think body gets used to it. So if we regulate, then every time that particular point in time of the day, we'll get that feeling of being hungry.
I think
But
we
we
should
don't
address
regulate, I think.
we should address the feeling of being hungry. If you're hungry, you should eat because the body is asking,
Yeah, then you can digest it properly and
Yeah,
everything.
exactly. I'm very much in favor of that. Like, you do Nirjal, I do Nirjal today, but what I do, I've been doing it for 40 years. It's kind of second nature now.
You don't
I
need
program the
you
mind.
don't take any liquid also.
No, I've been doing it since 87.
So as I said, it's not good for the liver if we do Nirjal.
One day, it's piece of cake. Loloka. If I was doing Nirjal like Maharaj Parikshit 1 week, no, but one day is piece of cake. I don't feel, my body is used to that.
So every Ekadasi you do Nirjal?
Since 87, my guru asked me.
Especially when you talk, it becomes, I think, a problem then, right? When you talk when you have to give a lecture while you are doing Nirjal, it becomes.
I was doing books. I was doing Nirjala. I'm teaching. I'm doing Nirjala. So it's a second nature, but I noticed that if you drink, as soon as you drink, you become hungry. Did you notice? If you don't drink, you're not. This is the trick, huh? If you don't drink, you're not hungry. As soon as you drink, you're hungry. So I find it easier to do Najal because you're not hungry. So, and I find it complicated to know what is good for Kadashi and not good. You always get mixed up. So personally, I would rather do fasting. No, this is the biggie. This is the biggie. We can spend 1 hour on this one, easy. This is upasta vegan. The urge of this of the sex, of the genitals. That's a biggie. Papa did say that if I had given 3 principles, you know what he said? I would have had lakhs of disciples. Very interesting quote, because I mean, there's 60 crores of vegetarians on Earth, 60 crores. And I may be wrong, but it keeps on increasing every day. Even here, I can see it's picking up. So, I mean, come on, it's not a big issue. Stop gambling, who cares? Stop the cigarette, okay, some people are addicted, but I mean, that's not the end of the world. But the last one, you tell people, that's a different ball game. So let's discuss about that. We know from Shastra, what is the verse in the Gita, Goloka? Krishna is telling about Arjuna, about Upasta Vegam, 7th chapter. Kamosmi. Then?
Dharma viruddha.
Dharma viruddha. That doesn't go against the principles of Dharma. So now, there is the philosophy. Yes. We know the philosophy, right? As bigger children. Then you can use your genitals. But I'm always the devil's advocate, as you know. There was a survey in ISKCON. It was an incognito survey, like how do you say, secret survey. That you don't have to reveal your name. So it's like you remain incognito. It remains confidential. And they conducted the survey only amongst the Grihastha. Clean-cut question and plain question. Do you guys follow the principles? Especially this one. When they opened the survey, practically, no. It's not the
percentage.
I forgot the percentage. A few years ago. Okay. It was conducted by some ISKCON temple in Eastern Europe. So you may say, well, Prabhu, it's not the full sample of the whole world of ISKCON. Perhaps, yeah, you're right. But at least this part of the world, perhaps Eastern Bloc and Poland, and but it was quite revealing. It was a big numbers. I forgot the percentage, but they admitted no. So this is written in 75, Srila Prabhupada, Balaram Mandir. But we can see in reality, it's not today at least, it's not fully being applied. So what does it reveal to us?
I think, people over time, I think many people don't have enough taste. Prabhupada say, right, we should have a higher taste to get out of that raso, that lower taste, that Bhagavad Gita says. People don't have higher taste, and definitely they will engage in all those things.
Yeah.
So I think that is required. We just cannot just follow mechanically, like just do Vaidhi. But then if there is no taste, there is no attachment to higher principle, then we'll somewhere always fall down after some time.
Yeah, so, and I've seen, this one thing it's called Hridaya Dolbalya in English. I mean, in Sanskrit, weakness of heart. Okay. you, okay, you married at 20, 22, you're handsome, the girl is beautiful. So automatically in the beginning, yes, it may slip here and there. But when it comes, I've seen devotees now, saying that, well, what it means, Prabhu, is you don't have sex outside the marriage. I've seen devotees even in India, I'm sorry to say. Prabhu, you don't understand. It means outside the marriage. Be lenient a little bit. Even, I won't mention names. I've seen one article in Italy. Guru, it says, better to fall down with your wife than with the wife of the neighbor. So, which is true on paper. But I mean, what I can see here already, after 50, 60 years down the road after Srila Prabhupada, some kind of a rationale, it's called rationalizing. And Prabhupada was clear. I mean, 75 written here. The genital should be used to beget a Krishna conscious child. Otherwise, it should not be used. I mean, it's English construction. It's quite clear. There's no space for interpretation. This is first meaning, direct meaning. And you can see 50, 60 years down the road, not everyone, of course not, but it's already in the mind of many. What it means is, so it means they don't read much, the books, and they are not being told otherwise. Perhaps the Guru is not telling them otherwise.
Yeah.
Because perhaps otherwise he won't keep them, perhaps he won't be able to initiate them.
Yeah.
If he's too strict on this particular principle, perhaps they won't be initiated by him. There's many strings attached to this discussion. I won't mention names. I've seen girls telling me in India, well, I've got 3 kids, so what I'll do is I'll have an how do you call it, an operation. I forgot the name, it's a medical term. You can no more have kids after 3. They purposefully do that, so I won't be bothered by children anymore. So no, it seems to me they're trying to go around the real issue. And of course, you may say, like this guru in Italy, yes, Prabhu, but at least it's your duly married wife. Yes, true. But, I wonder what it's going to be like in 500 years. And some people are, even now, you have seen trying to amend the books of Srila Prabhupada. Well, this is what he meant, Prabhu, don't you understand? There's 2 factions. Some devotees will say, well, this is pure Prabhupada. Others, well, it's revised, but it's still okay. So, I mean, and this is one of the key issues. Prabhupada did say, I had given 3 principles, I would have lakhs of disciples. Anyway, the door is open for discussion.
I think what is happening is like Prabhupada gave a standard for the devotees. Some people justify not basis the books of Prabhupada, but justifying based on either secular reasoning of the modern day, or perhaps even I have understood from the ways of scriptures that Dharma Shastras allow that once in a month.
Exactly, that's another angle.
That is a thing is there, but still acharyas say that it is best not to do that even then, if we are looking for a higher purpose.
I remember Govinda Maharaj. I've heard him, and he's not a small boy. I don't know if you know, he left in 96. Maha powerful acharya, Govinda Maharaj. You remember Goloka?
Yeah.
He used to come to Mauritius. I was in Mauritius. Actually, when I had my center in Mauritius, he came over. That was December. No, that was January 96. I had a center in Rose Hill.
last year.
Sorry.
I think the last, 1996 or 7,
January
he disappeared.
1996. He left the world in March.
March, yeah.
And he came. I had a center in Roseville, beautiful center. And I remember the father of, the wife of Guru Garanga. He had many daughters. He came. The father was still alive. And Guru Maharaj blasted him because he told him, he came and then he said, "Oh, I have to go, Guru Maharaj. But I'm coming all the way. You don't even take a day off." Well, and then he blasted him severely. So Guru Maharaj used to say, "It's Maya if you don't unite with your wife once a month." That's a different angle. He used to say like this. It's Maya if you don't unite with your wife once a month. Because it's coming from that line, Rignesh, very traditional line, which is the line of Vaishnavism. You should give children to your wife every month, particularly. So it was coming from that line. And he used to tell like this, and it's not like a wishy-washy acharya. Is maha powerful acharya. I would say this the most powerful acharya I've seen after Prabhupada.
I think this is to encourage the people from falling down and leaving their wife and go with,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
think there is a verse, right?
even
People quote this
divorce,
verse.
and some men,
yeah. No,
will leave the wife because they're not happy.
Exactly. That's another angle of vision of discussion. I've seen many young couples in the name of being so strict because they don't want to put their wife into Maya and she doesn't want to put the husband into Maya. But it's still looming, it's still hovering in the mind. That's what we discussed, Manasa Vegam, right? Then they fulfill it otherwise.
Yeah.
They fulfill anywhere but with the wife. They fulfill it. They go, where they go on, what they do on the internet. I won't mention.
Yeah.
She's replete.
When Prabhupada was here, there was sannyasi. They'll go to Africa, they'll go to Thailand or something.
Exactly. So in the name of, I'm paka with my wife, can't you say? But it doesn't. It overspills elsewhere. Overspilling elsewhere, either on the subtle plane, internet, or like you say, Goloka, even entertaining a private relationship. So it seems to me this issue is far from being tackled and fully understood and fully resolved 50 years, 60 years after Prabhupada. This is my observation.
Yeah, my observation also. The
four
regulative principle is only a small percentage of Grihastha follow this.
Yeah. So, and Prabhupada did say also at times, even in his own time, that I'm sick because you guys, some of you don't follow, especially among my leaders. Anyway, we'll stop here. I'm quite over time, but you can give me your feedback on this, because I would say it's one of the still unresolved practical issue that still is quite, I would say, taboo. Huh? It's perhaps
I think this. I feel sometimes this is so like a personal, private thing.
But we are all on the same boat,
people to make the discrimination what they want to do,
Yeah, I think the two partners have to be a little bit mature, and they have to decide on their own exactly what is favorable for them.
That's a very good point.
Looking at the higher purpose, I think they should make a decision ultimately.
Yeah.
And again, standards are there, but then we have to be practical as well, right?
Exactly. That is why it's so important to marry according to similar like-mindedness. We discussed anulom pratilom. If you marry someone who is not on par in terms of guna karma, that may create a friction in a couple. Because oftentimes, first of all, they don't consider astrology, which is very important. Papa did say astrology is very important for marriages.
Mm.
And, you know, one is behind the other. So one can transcend, yes, I'm beyond sex, we discussed, upastavegam, but the other may not be.
Yeah.
And the other person doesn't want to address the issue because, number one, it's embarrassing. And number two, because she may or he may feel a bit disgusted with her or with him. What's going on with you? You've been in Islam 45 years and you're still on that level. So is it the real way to address the issue? You know, may not be the right way to address the issue. Like you said, Vignesh, perhaps at least if they're on the same page, they may sleep for a few years and then you find them later and they're very well situated. Because
Normally,
together they
children
transcended
will
that.
come. Yeah. Children will come normally when they do take care of children over a period of time. The habit will normally it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Days,
When you
days
have
out
two,
after
three
some
kids, you have
time.
no more time for this. I mean, you
Yeah,
become
that's why
you got
Prabhupada
to
always say that it's only for Krishna conscious children, because when we take care of children,
exactly.
finally after some time the things will wane out. After a
Yeah,
few
right.
years, it's
And
natural.
that is why also we should the girl should marry early. Because this way at 40, 45, she has 3 kids, she's all set. She's totally focused on the children and the grandchildren. She had a life, she had a husband very early. She had also come, and she's happy. I had my time. Yes, I had my time. And the boy also, I had my time. Now I'm all set for something else.
Mm.
You can see everything is interrelated because we join late. So we get on the boat late. So all these things are not fully settled at the time they should have been. So, people join at 25 and they marry by 35, 45, which is not the norm. You should marry at 18, So we are still,
allows that thing.
yeah, we are still,
Dharma.
because we are still in the first generation of ISKCON. So we are, we are suffering because we took the train en route, Anyway, it's a long discussion. We'll stop here. So we haven't fully finished 1. You can read 1 and 2, I would say. Of course, it will be Prabhu doing. I'll send you more stuff on Upadeshamrit. I have a lot of stuff. And I will send you this correlation we discussed in the beginning amongst those 4 verses. I will send it to Chandra also to make sure I hope he will teach the same, but I cannot force him. Hare Krishna and Goloka, don't forget your close book.
Yeah. I'll contact you one day.
Yeah, you can contact me. And you guys are okay for the essay, I forgot, for the NOD.
Yeah, I need to send my essay and the verses and everything. So we'll do
Yeah,
one by
so be careful because we're coming to the end of Bhakti Shastri, well, sooner or later. We're quite close. You had how many essay for the NOD? 1 or 2? I forgot.
You have to submit 2, right?
Huh? It's 2?
You have to submit 2, right?
Could be. I have to look it up.
Is it 1 or 2?
There's 1 module, so it's not like Gita. There's 3 modules, so I have to look it up. I'll let you know. But you are behind your essay, and your shlok only is 3. It's a piece of cake. The shlok.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
think I have to.
What is that verse? Anashaktasya Vishanya Gataha Upajum Gataha. You know that verse plus the next one. Nimada Krishna.
I will do it tomorrow. I will call you.
And Anya Bilashita Shunyam. It's 3 or 4.
Sarvapyadi Vinirmuktam.
Yeah, perhaps 3 or 4. Just get it over with. It's not. Hare Krishna. Sorry for being late. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.